Hold up. Human remains found just a block away from Taylor Swift's secluded mansion, literally out in the middle of nowhere in Rhode Island? Really? Be right back.
Human remains were found right down the road from Taylor Swift's Rhode Island mansion as fears that a New England serial killer is on the loose.
This story is so eerie and wild and honestly shocking. Human remains were found in the Watchville neighborhood of Westerly, which is where Taylor Swift's Rhode Island mansion is located. Police were called to respond to reports of what someone suspected were human remains. They arrived and discovered what appeared to be a human leg bone.
And only the leg bone was left? What happened to the rest of the body? Again, like a block from her house, at the peak of Rhode Island, secluded in the middle of nowhere, just happened to be right by Taylor's house. I'm sure all the stuff in the background has nothing at all to do with this story. Really doesn't, just, you know? But let me ask a reasonable question. Who's all going down here besides Taylor? Wouldn't it be like off limits? And I'm just saying, this kind of looks like that kind of house. I wonder who the culprit could be. Completely irrelevant. Have y'all seen where she was wearing a snake and doing a photo shoot making fun of the forbidden fruit? Or right here where she was dressed up as a high priest. I'm not gonna say what kind of high priest, but I'll tell you it does have something to do with the background. And completely irrelevant, just a question. I wonder what kind of practices would cause someone to get possessed. Pretty crazy stuff though. Let me know what you think below. I'm calling it now. We're gonna see a lot of animals die this year. But not just animals, plants and everything else living. And TikTok is my opinion. This right here is not normal. This morning it was like 80 degrees, 82 degrees. I was sitting on the porch and I was starting to be in excruciating heat and pain. I was so uncomfortable I had to get out of the sun. Keep in mind, the video you're watching right now is not zoomed in. That's how big the sun was. That's not normal for South Carolina, North Carolina, really anywhere on the East Coast. But I'll tell you what that is normal for. That's normal for the Middle East. A couple of days ago, I wondered why all of our plants were dying, until I took out the infrared thermometer. I'm gonna show you that in 1 second. All these plants just burning to a crisp. I went to Texas last year, right in the summer for a ministry trip, and it was about 115 degrees outside, right? My front yard with this sun is hotter than it was in Texas in the summer. And before people say, oh, you're a baby, it's just some heat. I was a welder for 7 years and worked 12 hours a day in the sun welding. Never bothered at all. I've always done very well in heat. But this is a different heat. 82 degrees, and the greenery, the plants were 110, 115. It's like living beings. Living beings are the ones picking up more heat from this sun somehow. And in Revelation, it talks about how the sun will scorch mankind in the earth. No, I don't think that's happening now. I think it's a parallel like everything else we're seeing. Plants will show signs of heat stress and even start to shut down at 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, it was 82. The plants were hotter than the road and the sidewalk. Make that make sense. What about y'all? Does it seem different to you too? We have a lot to talk about. Y'all, look at this. Look at this. We'll come right back to this. Is it possible that all the stuff happening on the earth right now is just demonic? I know you're thinking, no, mankind does this and they do that. Don't give man too much power. Don't you know that demons work through them? We'll go into the evils of what happened to St. Louis in just 1 minute. But do you know in Brazil, the fire is coming from up under the ground? And I'm sure you're thinking it's like, you know, gas or whatever stuff. But Brazil's been on fire for a while now, and this whole field is burning from up under it. And for these farmers, this is not a normal occurrence in their area. It's a once in a lifetime, everything's burning from under the ground. And that made me start thinking of the spiritual severity of everything happening on the earth. Let me show you something. Is it really random and not spiritual that St. Louis was just destroyed by a storm today? The same St. Louis that has a straight up portal just hanging out there for everyone in the city to see. Is it possible so many of the storms and disaster we're facing is our fault for the evil that we are allowing? It really is food for thought, because I don't ever remember giant baseball-sized hail coming through people's windows. Not St. Louis, but still just happened today. What you saw earlier is a radar and all the pulses on the radar in Florida. And the craziest part about this is we cannot access the level 2 pulse log without a FOIA request. I wonder why it would need to be hidden. And completely irrelevant and not related at all, my head's hurting pretty bad today. What about you? Look at this right here. What you're seeing is not dirt. This is literally ice. They're ice pellets, 2 foot deep ice pellets, along with all the crazy tornado and storms that we had yesterday. I mean, have you seen Kentucky? It is like absolutely terrific, as if somebody opened some kind of curse and just let it loose all over America. But not just America. Again, this is happening all over the earth right now. I mean, just look at this image right here of the foundation and all the house completely gone. Literal weather chasers from WX are saying that they have never seen anything like this. Remember, it's their job to follow these things. And how about a great apocalyptic wall of dust in Chicago? But wait, there's more. We have literal cars exploding in California. Cars exploding in California. Remember I was talking about how freaking hot it was all of a sudden, randomly? You might think it's a coincidence. I don't. Here's some more footage by WX Chasing, probably the best in the game, in London, Kentucky. Don't forget what just happened in St. Louis. I mean, it's just destruction and catastrophe everywhere. I would be so freaking worried. And they're not even really in, I kid you not, I was about to say they're not in Tornado Alley, but look at this. They are now considered part of Tornado Alley. That means eventually the whole US will be Tornado Alley. But on the brighter news, Dubai is about to make a building hanging off an asteroid. Yeah, they're gonna hang it from the sky above. Are y'all serious? A mega anomalous storm. Y'all gotta see what I found. Buckle in. And I'll say this one time, you need to watch the whole video to understand what I'm saying. So first, this tornado or storm tornado traveled 500 miles. The people who were watching it were literally in awe watching this thing move such a long distance. Before we get to the craziest part, watch this with me. No tornado sirens, no warning. Something is not right about this tornado. It looks like a big cloud of wind to me. I mean, look at that, y'all. Definitely looks really odd. All of this happened in 6 minutes. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Now is the crazy part. Midas and other reporters come out talking about how there are consequences as we have defunded these weather services that people rely on to know when the storms are coming.
Cuts to the National Weather Service have caused massive coverage gaps in Kentucky as a violent tornado struck the state last night. The National Weather Service office in Jackson, Kentucky, for example, no longer had a permanent overnight forecaster.
Very strange timing. Now remember how I told you I moved 500 miles, right? Watch this radar and you tell me what in the freaking world is going on right here. I have never seen anything close to this. What do y'all think this is? And yeah, the sky just happened to be this color in Canada. Just coincidentally. And by the way, I don't care what they say caused this. Y'all are not even gonna believe this. You know this ship that just crashed into that bridge last night? This is absolutely mind-blowing. Do you know that next year in 2026, there's a huge world-changing event going on? For some reason, the guy who's in charge of the US really wants to celebrate the 250th birthday of America. If you don't understand just how highly symbolic, probably the most symbolic thing ever that is, I'll try to fill you in a little bit in a second. But yeah, they're getting all these ships together to do this crazy 250th year of America. Do you know what America really is? Notice this ship? Does it look familiar? It's the same ship that was going to be used in the celebration. Now, completely irrelevant and not related to what I just showed you, just a headline that 2 people were unalived and 17 were injured. Completely unrelated and irrelevant, again, just a fact, the ship left from Pier 17. We know it was power loss, just like this was power loss. Again, unrelated, but check this out. Pier 17 is a specific support structure that the Francis Scott Key Bridge that was struck by the Dali shipping container. Not related, but I wonder why scientists are saying that we live in a simulation. Now the unrelated craziest part. Did you know there's 2 major eschatology timeline beliefs? One is that we're entering into the 7th millennia on the 7th day he rested, being the 6,000 to 7,000th year, which is 2026, 2027. I've showed this before with old books and genealogy from the Bible. Now there's also a lesser known theory. And what are the chances it lines up on the same exact date, 2026, 2027, 250th year? Being a quarter or a season until things go down. I'm telling you, you really need to find out what America is. Because it's the reincarnation of something so great, so massive, probably the biggest thing in the world to ever be. But it's already been defeated once. There's nothing new under the sun. What was, will be again. Tell me what's wrong with this video. What's wrong with blue light emitting and glowing from clouds? The footage coming from Twitter today is just unbelievable. And again, the clouds and sky have been lighting up all over the world. But really ask yourself honestly, is this kind of stuff normal? Feet of hail again, recorded by this guy right here, right on his front porch. He literally said that he thought his house was going to cave in. We've had hundreds of tornadoes in just days. In this one location, we had 8 on Thursday night. But what's really going on? Why are tornadoes more and more looking like hurricanes? By the way, notice all the lines. While this tornado hurricane goes, you try to tell people it's getting worse and worse, but they don't want to believe you. You could literally build a snowman with this hail. But it's not just skies looking weird colors, clouds are acting abnormal. I believe this came from CowX Twitter. If you weren't aware, there's tornadoes everywhere today. Everywhere. Hundreds of lives being ruined every single hour.
Thankful to be alive.
I wonder why it's getting so bad. Video is just for attention. What do you think? Let me know below. Have y'all seen what happens at the airport now if you do not have the real ID, the new license? This is totally dystopian. So first, when Resilient LA got to the airport, the first thing they did when they found out she did not have it was they took her and moved her to the side for like 10 to 15 minutes for everybody to see. So basically, act like you are some sort of criminal or something and separate you. Look how subliminal this is. They give them a red sheet of paper, red of all colors, talking about how they are non-compliant. Think about modern day schools, how they mimic modern day prisons, even like getting in line and doing certain things. It's all subliminal. And then the swabbing of the hands, almost like frisking, like again, like you have been pulled aside and dehumanized by the system that you are not going to walk with. The craziest part is this, not only did the whole ordeal take like an hour, they also swiped her phone the same way they swiped her hands. Just think for a minute of what kind of technology they could have and what they could be getting from the phone. I guarantee there's more going on than meets the eye. Get with the system or we will alienate you and make you so uncomfortable to the point where you just get with whatever we say. Have y'all seen this? This is happening in the sky in Arizona. You can watch the full video right here. Some people are saying it's drones. People even asked in the Twitter comments what it was. And some of them were saying that it was like secret government drones from the military base in Arizona. Here's my thing though. These don't look like drones. These literally look like spirits, like things flying around in the air. Spirits, fallen angels, demons, who knows what, but that's what it looks like. And also they're going extremely fast, way faster than any commercial drone. And moreover, to discredit the whole drone theory, people way over in Alabama were seeing the same exact things flying through the sky. It's too bad it's a picture and not a video, but I believe her. It seems like anytime there's anything going on in the sky, people just try to rationalize it. It doesn't matter how crazy their explanation sounds, they still say that's what it is. But this is what gets me. She mentions how they look like stars, which they do, that's the first thing I thought. But second, one of like the AIs for Twitter, Grok, is trying to claim that it's most likely Starlink. If you know about Starlink, it's used to cover up every single kind of aerial phenomenon that we ever see. It was literally created for a time such as this. What about y'all? Have y'all seen anything flying around the sky lately? Let me know. If you've ever wondered how mud could completely cover and erase the whole entire earth, then watch this video. Of course, you should know by now that all over the world we see the same thing. Stories of building under the dirt. And I hear the same question all the time. How is that possible? How could all that mud come randomly and erase everything? I'll show you in 1 second. But just so we're aware, it wasn't just mud. It was crazy earthquakes happening all over the earth, like San Francisco, when it was wiped off the map. A very fervent heat. Wonder where it came from. And again, earthquakes just destroying everything. Even melting Egyptian statues. That fire had to have been awfully hot to straight up melt granite and other types of rock. But we're not talking about this part of the Earth's destruction. How could mud bury everything? Do you know how fast, how crazy, how violent mudslides can be? This was in California in 2022. Like, if that went on for like another hour or two, everything would be covered. It would only take 1 split second for everything to change, and just a few generations for everybody to forget what had just happened. And it's about that time again. Think about every end of the world movie you've seen, apocalypse movie, etc. And think about how it ended and who the key players were in it, right? Now tell me how this is legal. The OpenAI co-founder wanted, I'm sure he did, build a doomsday bunker to protect the company's scientists from rapture. But let me show you exactly what his rapture is. So he wants to build this bunker to put all the scientists in. Think about Resident Evil and all the other crazy movies. Who's always the people trying to work out how to fix it? The scientist. In the case of a rapture, triggered by the release of a new form of artificial intelligence, which they're talking about is general artificial intelligence. Sorry, AGI, artificial general intelligence. That's a mighty large coincidence. Now think about all the people who are on the world stage. What kind of things that they're doing on the world stage? We're not getting to this, but we do have these satelloons all over the place, everywhere. What are they for? Then hundreds of billionaires buying bunkers. Here's the craziest part. Do you remember when the ex-CEO of Google came out warning about artificial general intelligence and that it's going to change the world in the worst way forever and we could not ever go back? Maybe these two guys are on the same thought pattern. And don't forget how intelligent these people are. By the way, he's teaching in Tel Aviv right here. Of course, speaking on their rapture. People need to wake up. AI was not discovered to be your little buddy and give you answers for quizzes or personal life problems or assistance. Think about the billions and trillions of dollars that went into AI. Matter of fact, so much money that Google and other companies are buying up whole fields by the hundreds of solar panels because how much electricity these things take. Or maybe it's for something else. Let me know what you think below. I just stumbled upon something that maybe I shouldn't have. So I saw an article about how Google was buying all these solar fields in the hundreds to power their artificial intelligence. I thought that was really weird, so I started digging a little bit. Because in my mind, I was like, what if solar panels aren't what they are telling us they are? Quick question, do you remember when people were going door to door giving you money if you'd put up solar panels? That was always so odd to me. Trying to give you money or upgrade your house to solar panels. Why would they need to be on there so bad? This was Congress. Government officials say solar panels could pose national security risks depending on where they are sourced. Because the solar panels can be hacked. How hackers capture a solar panel and cause grid havoc. I'm not worried about grid havoc. I'm worried about who is going to be hacking my solar panels. I don't have any, but a rogue, blocked out country spyware found on solar battery equipment. Hidden countries, hidden tech, and solar raises great fears of spying on the US power grid. I'm not worried about the boogeyman, I'm worried about y'all. And when I say y'all, I mean y'all and people like y'all. So again, I ask, what if solar panels aren't what we thought? Just opinions, just screwing around, you know? Over 700 million birds are getting away from this location on this one night on Tuesday. I wonder what this is and what's been happening over here. And before you say, yeah, migration's normal every spring and fall, not like that. Not to mention, if you're like me, you've been hearing birds tweeting at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like their whole rhythm is off. And you can't say it's just not a little bit eerie. All the things we've been seeing in the sky, all the crazy storms, the catastrophic tornadoes. If you know the girl who posted this video, please tag her below. Someone stole it on Twitter and that's where I got it. I later remember passing this and she posted more than one of these videos. I mean, what in the world is this supposed to be? Of course, the same exact time I showed you these clouds with this crazy blue hue coming off of it. Almost like it's an radiation ray. Now, those birds all leaving from the same area. Check out this crazy phenomenon that this girl right here caught on the radio, which she says she watches it religiously over and over again. Why does it seem like it's so freaking hot right there for a split second? Isn't this like color coded? What in the world would cause it to get really hot for a split second? It caused all this. Fast forward. I mean, come on now. Like this one tornado that was posted on Twitter looks like a freaking BOMB went off. Like, it's ridiculous. Birds migrating, normal. Birds all taking off at the same exact time, coincidentally, while all this stuff happened. And being up all night tweeting, not normal. Something's up. And I mean, literally, something is up. The blue rain. I just found some very scary, non-related, irrelevant stuff. So very quickly, if you're not aware, all May we've been seeing blue rain, purple rain, of course these crazy clouds and all these weird anomalous things happening in the sky. Had to block out the word beside my head, but for instance, they had this blue rain on both of these tarps. Keep in mind all the crazy weather that's so much worse than normal for this time of year and this for these areas. Like this one right here was in Texas. But this is not only a Texas problem. Oklahoma, Arkansas, you name it, there's blue rain there. Now keep in mind, I've been alive for 31 years, I've never seen blue rain. Now, completely unrelated and irrelevant, just a cool fact, I was wondering what metal turned rain blue. It's copper. But just not that it's being copper, we'll come back to copper, but also it lowers the pH of the water significantly. Now every situation is unique, but these waters are around 2.5 to 2.9. Imagine, if you will, how terrible and unrelated it is for the plants and the soil. The most unrelated thing completely, another cool fact, do you know that copper is one of the most conductive metals out there? That's why they use copper everywhere, houses, etc., to conduct electricity. Meaning copper is like a huge antenna. Anyways, back to the topic, I wonder why the rain's blue. So crazy. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is real anymore. Everything real will be fake and everything fake will be real. That's what I was saying 3 years ago when AI was getting crazy. This right here is not real. This is Google VO.
One move with AI that makes haters go crazy every time.
Oh, y'all gotta give them that. This is wild. It's over. We are cooked on that thread. You get me?
Every video I'm showing you in this video is all going to be artificial intelligence. But think about everything that's happened these last 2 years. Everything they released to the public, they are decades farther than that. So if they are releasing this now, they must have had this technology for a very long time now. The streamers leading the youth to pollution, are half of them even real? And what about the holographic technology that can show stuff like this right in front of us and it looks real as well? These artificial generations are so good they could literally fool any person on the earth right now. Don't forget, most of life in 2025 happens on the phone and not in real life. There's only one reason things like this would be allowed. I'm not gonna tell you what that is, so I'm sure you can figure it out.